Every collection of mine is always inspired by a lot of just the personal experiences that I have in my life. And I think no matter what happens in my life, Paris will always stay as a place of home for me. Cartagena, Colombia is also one of the places I call home. The most recent breaking point, I would say, was definitely coming to Paris and working at Ungaro. I think that put me from one place to the next place, and it really changed everything. From there on, I really started to understand who is that Esteban is and who it is I want to design for, and I just started to understand more about my aesthetic, and I started to understand more who I am. So I grew up in Miami, and it was the early 90s, and so the 90s in Miami were very special because they really embodied a time when a lot of fashion legends were going there to shoot, like Herb Ritts and Patrick de Marchelier. So I was this little kid in the middle of all of this because I lived with my father in an area of South Beach in Miami where all of these people were coming.
Look at you.
So basically my playground was watching a photo shoot happening on the beach with like Claudia Schiffer, you know, and that was me as a little kid looking at all of this. And I think this really affected me, and then Gianni Versace moved there, he built his house in Miami, then afterwards, you know, he died there too, which also affected me quite a lot. And when I saw a fashion show, I just thought, wow, this is like kind of like being a director, and then you are like, you know, you have the models walking, you have the, you know, the clothes are like, you know, you're like telling a story through a fashion show. And so that's how I was like, oh, I need to do a fashion show now. And I would always look at magazines all the time. I was like looking at Vogue and Bazaar and W and all of the magazines, always. My dad would buy them for me. And I would try to imitate everything that I would see in the magazine. So all the backstage pictures of the time, because in the time there was no internet, or there was, but it wasn't really something that people were using as part of their life. So everything was on a magazine, you know? So I would see pictures of the backstage footage of fashion shows, and I said, oh, I want the Polaroids have to be like this, and we're gonna do the dresser cards like this, and I really wanted to imitate what I was seeing through the magazine. So I did that in the fashion show at school. And I learned a lot, and I think it was by far the most incredible learning experience of my life, definitely, was my time at Ungaro. I mean, it just taught me so much, personally and professionally. It made everything become more clear to me. The level that I wanted to be at, even as a designer, I think I understood then that I was here and I wanted to be here, you know, because of the level of craftsmanship, the ateliers, everything that I was seeing around me. I was like, okay, this is a different level, and I want to be that. I want to be part of that, which is also why I knew that I wasn't ready yet, because it was also new for me. So I think this was a huge learning experience for me. And then the other one was a lot about my integrity as a designer. I think I really learned a lot about myself personally and my strength and how to be tough. Talking about what we were saying earlier, I learned there that, you know, to be decisive and to be tough, you know, and in a good way, you know. I think your team needs a leader that is decisive and knows what he or she wants. And I learned that during that time. But if it's the right thing and I feel like it's something that could truly make sense, that can take me somewhere and we can stay there, I think it would be interesting. But I'm not interested in being part of a musical chair of being a trial for somebody. I think I want to be something that is a sure thing.